Hey, there I am. I hope there are you too. Um, Good afternoon. Just into the afternoon now. Um, what you see behind me is a look at Ellicott City from the top, which is where we're headed actually at this moment. I'm going to take you to the top of the highest hill that surrounds Ellicott City, the highest of 7 hills that surrounds Ellicott City. So, of course, what better place to start than the top of the tallest hill? So, and we are going up an incline right now. But let me uh, let me do the preliminaries here. Hello, day lady here, Sharon. I'm coming to you from Ellicott City, Maryland. Now, Ellicott City has been called the most haunted place in Maryland. And some say it's the most haunted place on the East Coast. Others say the most haunted in the country. There is a lot of activity here, and it's been, scrutinized by, hey, Ronnie, scrutinized by, paranormal experts. And so they find a lot of activity throughout the whole city, but certain areas in particular as well. Getting ready to cross the street. Here is our first stop. Let me turn this thing around. Hey, Sarah. Hey, Ronnie Lynn. Hold on. Nope, not that one. This one. Yeah. Okay, you got to see what I'm seeing. Okay. All right. All right, there we go. Oh, oh my goodness. There's a chestnut tree nearby. Look, look, look. Is that a chestnut? Oh, here's a row of them. Huh. Yeah, I know. Ooh, there's chestnuts all over here too. I wonder if they're edible. I love roasted chestnut. Like the song says, a Christmas song. Okay, so I don't know how much you can see. Um, if if you look under that no trespassing sign, you can see the 2 front columns of the school. If you zoom it in, this is um, this is what's said to be one of the most active spots for paranormal activity, more so than anywhere else. Not quite sure why this is true. You can see we're kind of up on a hill, but then the hill goes further, it goes up in that direction. Let me show you the sign. I managed to get like one or two tours in here during the warmer months during the summer. They were opening the grounds on weekends, and in fact, there was a Shakespearean company that was performing here as well. They had built an outdoor stage. So it was nice to be able to get in there and walk around. I'm sure if you look on YouTube or Facebook, I should have a video of it on my Facebook page. I'm sure I have photographs too. So, all right, so now can I get up a little bit higher? Can you look between, oh, yeah, that can be like zoomed later, right? How does that go? Okay, well, now I have to tell you the story about why this is such a haunted location. Now, there are two different types of hauntings, two different types of spirits. I just learned this recently, actually. um, so, yeah, one is intelligent, and the other is like a memory, like a scene, like a action film that comes around every now and then when it's supposed to. And the other, the intelligent ghost, means ones that can actually manifest among the living, maybe even touch them. You know, like a tap on the shoulder has been known to happen. Some of the buildings around here. Oh, yeah. Anywho, this place here, the Patuxent Female Institute, it was quite the thing in its day. It was built in 1937, and it was constructed using, of course, the very stone, the granite that's found throughout all these hills in Ellicott City. So it was supposed to be a finishing school for wealthy young girls, like from Southern families, like the big plantation owners in Virginia and the Carolinas. Um, they sent their daughters here. Okay. Um, when it opened in the early 1830s or late 1830s, actually, it had. Oh, let's see. Ah, I lost my train. 57 rooms. That's what I was going to say. It opened with 57 rooms. And of course, they were going to be double occupancy. They shared rooms. And they had between 80 to 100 girls that were boarded here from ages 12 to 18. Now, the students were expected to take care of their own rooms. They had to purchase their own school supplies and such. And then the the curriculum was ahead of its time as well. They taught these young ladies to be educated in languages, mathematics, music, religion. Gosh, more than what a regular uh, curriculum for this type of school would carry. But it did have some very notable students here, such as Winnie Davis. She was the daughter of Jefferson Davis, and Alice Montague. She was the mother of Wallace Warfield Simpson. And then Thomas Jefferson's granddaughter, Sally Randolph attended the school and was the last to serve as head mistress here at the school. Okay, so the uh, the school closed its doors in 1891. So it operated from 1837 to 1891. And, during that time, many girls, stayed here. Now, remember, this was built of granite, and the massive fireplaces that they had to heat the building are few of them, quite a few of them are still intact up there in the ruins. This is called stabilized ruins. There's no roof, there's no stair, just stabilized ruins. You can walk around on a catwalk, basically. A rather nice one. Anywho, so winter time. Wow, winters in Maryland could sometimes be very, very cold. And there have been periods in history where Ellicott City, as well as other communities, have been deluged, right, by um oh my goodness me. Could be the number of communities, were deluged by politics and different things of that order. So, these wealthy plantation owners sent their daughters here. But keep in mind, now the Civil War is approaching, the war between the states, North and South. Maryland, unfortunately, was split between the two. Um, they were immediately captured during the war and put under U.S. Army, Union Army control because uh, Maryland bordered Washington, D.C., where the Union government was headquartered. And it also bordered Virginia, where in Richmond, that was the capital of the Confederacy. So both sides wanted it. U.S. got there first, basically. So then it started dwindling, okay, the population. Now, as I was saying, it was very, very harsh some winters, and there was a winter in the 1864 that was particularly bad. Now, these girls are sharing rooms. They're sharing washstands. They're sharing chamber pots. They're sometimes in close quarters, huddled around a fire, or they are in the lower level in a cold room learning mathematics. And so they shared. Yeah, their parents were rich. They were, like I said, plantation owners, right? So anyway, the story, the ghost, where the ghosts come in here. Okay, there's a story about one girl. Her name is Annie Vanderlot, and she was a spoiled little rich kid from the South. Her daddy owned plantation. Well, she was a brat, and he wanted some sense put in her, or he'd never be able to get her to marry well. So he sent her here, and she hated every blooming minute of it. Oh my goodness. She just, she wanted to be home. She did not want to stay here, and she was not going to stop kicking up a fuss until she was out of here. Well, this particular winter, I'm telling you, it was a killer here in Ellicott City. And poor little Annie, she got a chill. Who knows from what? The drafty hallways, the basement classrooms, etc. But she got a chill, and eventually it went to pneumonia. And she became so ill. Well, she had been asking her father to come and get her a lot prior to being sick. And he, would refuse, and she would write another letter, and he would refuse, and so forth. Well, this time she had written a letter right before she became too ill to write. Okay. So she writes the letter, and her mother intercepts it and begs her husband, begs Annie's father to go get the child and bring her home. So he finally agrees and he does that. And so his wife wrote a letter, Annie's mother wrote a letter to the school and telling them that he was on his way to pick up his daughter. Meanwhile, the school headmistress had written a letter to Annie's parents. The letters crossed in the mail. The letter from the headmistress was advising Annie's parents that she had passed away and that they could come claim her body. When her father arrived here to collect his daughter, he did not know she had passed. And as he arrived and was greeted at the door, he said, told him, I'm here to collect Annie Vanderloot, and they thought he meant the body. They thought he knew. He was the only one who didn't know. Imagine when the teacher escorted him into the room where Annie was laid out in death. So Annie finally got to go home, at least physically, anyway. But that's not where our story ends. Many people have seen an apparition, just a very faint, quick, little, wispy, smoky kind of apparition that gives you the distinct impression of a young girl, long hair, wearing a long white nightgown. She's been seen walking around the corner of the school. She's been seen up in the windows that no longer exist, walking downstairs that aren't there, and it's assumed that she is Andy Vanderloot. Um, as I said, still waiting for her parents. The upper window that she's been seen at, is one that faces downtown Ellicott City, where the train station is, and all that kind of good stuff. So yeah. Hmm. There's another ghost here. After the school closed, this became many things. It was a World War I hospital. They took the wounded soldiers. The thing about the Civil War and Ellicott City's importance is the railroad. Okay, the railroad was brand new. The track ran from Baltimore to Ellicott City. This was like the end of the line. So it was really important on both sides. Anywho, they think that perhaps one of the wounded soldiers that passed here, perhaps that is the gentleman who has been seen in a wisp of smoke. Again, he gives you an impression of a good old guy, but just for a second, a nanosecond, a fraction of a second before he fades. So he's called the smoking ghost. Ah, how simple. I know. Well, let's say farewell. Oh, before we say farewell, I have a story to tell you. Let me walk and tell you, though. Let's see if I can walk and talk at the same time without breaking my foot. Okay. Um, y'all just look ahead. I'm paying attention to the stairs here. Some pretty steep steps. Here, look, check out the steps, right? Look at that. Here's that magical granite, right? The granite that holds electricity and spits it out at will. Okay. All right, so now we are going to walk down Church Road. Okay, but let me tell you about I years and years ago I worked in Ellicott City at the courthouse. And I had, some friends that I would hang out with. See, Church Road. Down there is the railroad tracks running alongside the river, but it's way, way, way down. I can hear the water running, just barely. Anyway, so the school was not all pretty as it is now. It didn't have a fence around it. It had caught fire and it was pretty charred. And one of the few things standing were those marble columns and the steps. So my friend and I, we would like pack our lunch. We would just specifically plan to do this in nice weather. We would pack our lunch and we would, we were on break from the courthouse having a lunch hour. We would do that and we would come up to the school. And here's another shot of it up on the hill there. Look at that. Maybe you can zoom or whatever, but so we would sit on those column steps that you can see, the steps right before the column, and eat our lunch. These trees weren't that big then, if they were even here at all. We're talking the late middle 1970s. And so we would sit up there, and I saw Sarah. Not Sarah. Annie. I saw Annie Vanderloop. We both did a couple times, but it's really hard to say because look how pretty the colors are. Um, the I don't know. It's hard to say because it's more presence, more a feeling than intensely visual. I mean, you can kind of see, but it's like a wisp just for a second. I can see the railroad tracks and the Patapsco River down there. But so I've seen her a couple times, I think. The image that I had in my head was a correct one. You can see way, way down there to the tracks at the bottom there. Um, but then again, was the image stuck in my head from a photograph or some other visual thing that I might have seen? Who knows? Okay, so this is Church Road. Okay, and again, you can see this cool way up there on that hill. Um, there's a story here at nighttime when there is no moon. Everything is like moonless nights, right? Anyway, nighttime, a horse and carriage. Okay. Um, a, a, a team of horses pulling a carriage, but no driver. And it comes racing down Church Road, which is what you're looking at. It starts up there and comes racing by. Now, I believe I've seen that. I had fun working here, let me tell you. I loved it. Loved it, loved it, loved it. The architecture of these buildings just blow me away. They're perched on granite cliffs. Serious granite cliffs. Very serious. So we're coming up on a home that is called Angelo's Castle. And Angelo's Castle was built by a talented architect, obviously. Look at the garden down there. Somebody's nice garden. Quite an architect. And he fashioned it after a church in France. Look at this house. So nice, just overlooking the river down below, way down below. way, way down below. Here comes the mailman rushing down the hill. I wonder, is that a road or a driveway? Hard telling. Hello. Good, how are you? Good. Oh, that must be a driveway shared by a couple of different families. Okay. Now, this castle I'm talking about is really hard to see, especially, oh, bye, Ronnie Lynn. Especially this time of year because of all the trees. Okay, but it's behind this garage. I'm going to keep working my way over here so possibly you can see it. Uh oh, somebody left the gate open. Do I dare? I can be brave. That's looking down the river, too. Well, anyway, this castle here. Oh, there's no trespassing, beware of dogs. That's all I need to hear. You can see the tops of the turrets. As I said, it's built like a cross, okay? If you look at it from the sky, it has a cross shape like a lot of actual churches do. And then the inside even has church like windows. He's got arched window frames and stained glass in there as well. Now, this castle has been used for many different things over the years, but it was primarily a boarding house. Okay, it was a boarding house going way, way back to the late 1800s, early 1900s. So that um, that meant that a lot of people had traveled through those doors, and spent time and in the room in those rooms, and left their presence or however you would think. And so, a lot of artists were the people who rented the rooms. It just started getting like I don't know. Somehow, it became a haven for the artists. Um, the um, the name Castle Angelo or Angelo's Cottage or Angelo's Castle. It's been called a number of things. You can see it a little bit better there. Um, but it was named after Michelangelo. So that was kind of interesting. So it has a lot of different influences. And where it sits right there on the hill. You can see it actually really well from the railroad bridge down below. Um, the ghost that we have here, okay, um, is the guy who built and designed the cottage. Well, he loved Ellicott City, lived here a while, but decided the place was becoming too urbanized, right? His name was Samuel Vaughan, a French artist. And so he moved away, okay? In disgust, always complaining. Yeah. So the story goes on that it became when it became a boarding house again after Vaughn had left, that if the artist was one of the occupants, then everything was cool. Everyone was happy. All was copacetic with the world, right? But if there weren't any artists living here, right, he would then reach out his bony hand and grab the person by the shoulder, march them down the steps into the basement that it looks more like a dungeon with all the rock than anything else, and out the door. So he would fall down those steep, steep steps and land on the railroad tracks or the river. Pick one. Depends on how far he rolled. Anywho, that's the story. I don't know if anyone, um, I don't know. I don't think there's any truth to it. I think it's just observations. There are so many things in this town that are out to scare you. Oh, look, look, look! There's the front of it. I'm standing on somebody's porch, so I'm not hanging long. But boy, I would love to see the inside of that. Who wouldn't, right? Okay, our next stop um, is called the Old Manse. It was a parsonage for the Presbyterian ministry here on the hill. If there's one thing about Ellicott City, it's that it was quite focused on education and religion. Lots and lots of churches and lots of schools. Beautiful place. Right? Look at that. Nice. There's a lot of shortcuts going down. What's unique about all of this is that there's a couple roads that wind up and down around the hills. So, like, if I were, okay, there's a road right up there. That's like the top on Courthouse Drive. Okay, here's Courthouse Drive way up there. And Main Street is like I can see the rooftops. Okay, it's way down there. So how do you get there? Do you walk around, each road where they connect? It's a lot of walking. So there are steps built into a lot of these places that the public could use. Um, when my friends and I weren't eating our lunch at the Female Institute, we would come down to Main Street and order something from one of the many great, oh, bye guys, one of the many great restaurants around. And so, we only had limited time for lunch, so we had to make it count. And we did. We knew all the shortcuts. One of the shortcuts was so cool. You could go in the top floor of the hotel and come out the bottom floor on Main Street. Pretty awesome, saw stuff for sure. Look at these gates, aren't they nice? Oops, somebody just pulled into that house. And here I look like I'm hiding, right? Look at this. Oh, they've got it decked out for Halloween. Here's our next stop, decked out for Halloween. Look at that. It's got a huge spider on the front. Hmm, very cool. Now, this house, let me see if we can see it. Yeah, see, that house is going to have another door that opens up on the road up that way. Okay. So, this is a former Presbyterian parsonage. It was built of granite, obviously, around 1850. It was built into the side of the hill, okay, so that each of the three stories is on a ground level. Interesting, right? How cool. The unusual floor plan shows a second floor, so showed the first floor had a small porch and a large parlor, which would be the living room. We call them parlors. Um, Second floor had a study, a small bedroom, a winter kitchen, a dining room, and a pantry. There was a separate kitchen that, well, stood over there. It still stands over here. Okay, a separate brick kitchen, and that's what it is. Oh yeah, and it had, except it used to have a covered walkway. Okay, and then so this house then. It started off, as I said, a as a parsonage. So the ghost here is kind of they haven't been able to identify the ghost. The one reverend that lived here for the longest amount of time doesn't resemble, or the apparition does not resemble him. The apparition that is seen here resembles, they don't know who, they're trying to figure it out. They don't know. Anywho, the the house is like rented. There's tenants and such. Right now, actually, I think the other side of it, the top end, is a museum, which you'll see momentarily, probably. And so they had like paranormal people come in here, and who described him as wearing a parson's hat and a collar. But again, he bears no resemblance to any of these former Presbyterian ministers that have resided here over the years. So it's been suggested that perhaps the apparition is not a dead parson at all, but maybe an escapee from the town jail trying to hide in plain sight. I think that was the final final word on that. Oh, what a beautiful day for this. Oh my goodness. I've been lucky with weather here recently. My goodness me. Okay. Now, this church has a lot of interesting things going on here. And I'm going to sit down on the steps so I can get a drink of soda out of my pocket. And we'll just sit right there. Let me go over here more in the middle. I should sit on the bench right there. What a pretty picture that would be. Look at the fall colors. Oh my goodness. This is crazy. I spent 10 days at the beach. More sand than trees. Come back here. I got up this morning to drive here. Oh my goodness. When did all the colors start? They're almost brilliant already. So interesting. Yes, yes, yes. Mm. Oh, let me get another sip. Sorry. My whistle ran dry. Oops. Now, if I can get the cat back on here, that would be great. Okay. All right. So this is Emory United Methodist Church. Now, the this church has been established here for, oh my goodness, since the early 1800s, 1838-ish maybe. And it was used by a lot of different things besides a church. Seriously, they leased it to the YMCA for like decades maybe, and other groups as well. So in 1888, it was the 100th anniversary of the founding of the church, right? And so they did extensive remodeling. And so they were, as part of the overall celebrations, they were going to have a Civil War enactment in town. And so the church offered the building for the reenactors, to camp out, not have to pay, hotel fees or anything. They were basically all welcome to crash here. And so they did. So one guy, parishioners reported saying that they spoke with this one really nice guy, a reenactor in a union uniform, right? And said he was very pleasant. They saw him standing in the church graveyard smoking a cigarette. He told them his name. He said he was an Ellicott City townie, and then he vanished before they could find out any more. So this was witnessed by quite a few people, and they all had, suggestions, something to say. So, as luck would have it, someone in the congregation remembered hearing about a young Union officer with the same name who'd been killed in action. And so his dying wish was to be buried in the churchyard here at Emory. And when the family had the body of the soldier, for whatever reasons, the reverend who was in charge here refused to give permission for the soldier to be buried in the graveyard. So the young man's family was not going to let that go. You know, on one moonless night, of course, moonless. On one moonless night, the young man's family members were determined to fulfill his last request. So they laid him to rest in the churchyard late one unmooned night in an unmarked grave that was known only by those who dug it. And so the story goes that this is the young war hero looking for his remains in the churchyard, but he doesn't know where they are. So, sad story. All right. Now, one other thing I want to point out here. Do you see anything unusual about this? I mean, what is different? What jumps out at you that is different about the structure of this church? Anything? I asked earlier, I don't know if anybody had any time to think, but here it is. The left door was for the women, and the door on the right was for the men. They did not sit together in church. They were separated according to their gender. Go figure. They left them there, I guess, as a reminder. I don't know. Okay, onward. Look at that street. So pretty. The leaves are changing. Oh my goodness. Look at all the fall colors popping up here, right? Oh, that's pretty chimes I'm hearing. Look at the shrubbery. How nice. And here's a older house. These houses have many of them. I think maybe the majority have been remodeled, redone, but so many are of historical significance. I don't think they could really change anything. It's just a matter of improving. I love multi-level terraces. I like that rock wall they have back there too. Mm. Dead ahead, this foreboding building is the Willow Grove Jail. Um, Throughout, the years, various, people have been jailed here. Some serving out their time, some awaiting execution, even. Um, Depends on their circumstances, I suppose. But this jail was not not a great spot for anyone, and the way they treated the prisoners was like crazy, insane. Um, they if a prisoner was con- condemned to death, they would put them in cells where there isn't any light. They would be held in the dark. Why? I have no idea. Maybe to keep them calm. I don't know. Further punishment. My goodness, I don't know. Oh, you know what? That's interesting. Yeah, the two doors. That's interesting, Sarah, because there are even some modern ghosts. That are 20th century types as opposed to all these old timers. But the thing about Ellicott City is that it was founded in the late 1700s, and it's been operational the entire time, with all the things that the city's been through, the building of the railroad and the Civil War and, just getting established and the floods. Oh my goodness, and the fires. It's a wonder there's anyone still here. But these people are very resilient. We know the merchants are because they've had to rebuild several times during my lifetime. So, anywho, so there was one story down on Main Street. There was a tobacco shop, and the owner's name was Daniel, and he had a person working for him. He was a free black man and helped them around the shop or what have you. Well, one evening, these guys are having some beer, smoking a cigar, what, whatever it was, okay, and they somehow got into a fight. It was said that for some reason Daniel shoved the guy, his helper. His name was Jacob. Daniel shoved Jacob, and Jacob looked around for a weapon to defend himself, and his hand landed on a hatchet. So Daniel Shea's body ended up with 20 hatchet gashes in his skull. Okay, 20. It's a bit extreme for self defense. And so poor Jacob was arrested and he was jailed and he was tried for murder and he was found guilty and he was sentenced to hang. And the town was outraged at the death of Daniel Shea. And so they did not want to leave anything to chance. So instead of waiting for the city to carry out the sentence, they took it upon themselves to do it. So they broke into the jail after midnight on May 28th, 1885, and drug him out back and hung him till he was dead. So this jail, we're going to see it from another angle in a few minutes, but it's not being used anymore, which is a good thing because up until the 1900s, they were still hanging prisoners around back there. So these buildings up top, we're going to be visiting there shortly. We're going to walk our way back up to the very tippy top. But we have a really cool another house along the way too. There's always something else. Yes, indeed. This next place used to be a Quaker school. And keep in mind the three Ellicott brothers that came here from Buck County, Pennsylvania, were Quakers. And so hence the religious, all the different churches, and also the educational aspects. Do, do, do. We're up a little bit higher now. There's the The church with the two doors. Right? Church with the two doors. So this beautiful building coming up here. I want to show you the back of it. You can see a porch back there. Okay, that porch goes out to that street that we're going to end up on shortly. But it's another one of the deals where you can go in on one floor and come out on the next. Look at this crazy little building, right? Oh my goodness. Is it just perched, built into the cliff? Okay, and check it out. Front door, wait. Well, there's another door down there. Huh. Could it get any crazier? I love it. Gotta love it. Okay. Oh, it's nice stopping in the shade here. It feels good. Look at this lovely building. Look at all that ironwork. For some reason, during the time when these buildings were built, they were, loving New Orleans style influences here. Oh, let's see. This is the Quakers' second Quaker school, Ellicott second Quaker school. Okay, known as the warehouse. Yeah, it was, what does it say? It was one room deep, 3 bay wide structure with a full porch. Da, 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 da. It was used. Okay, so this is an oldie one. This was built around 1790, and it was used as a hospital during the War of 1812. And let's see then what. Okay, then they remodeled it. Well, they kept this up really well. Okay, so in the 1880s, the lacy ironwork was added to the stone porch. Very cool. Very cool. Okay, now this building was owned by some of the Ellicott family members. James Miller was a doctor here. He lived here with his family in 1856. Um, he and his wife Anne lived here, and he loved it here. 10 years later, he passed, and he died in his bedroom here. When he passed, and he died in his bedroom. And so again, the paranormal um, investigators. In this case, actually, it was a company called Pasadena Paranormal. Anyway, they discovered that up on the second floor, they identified the spirit of Dr. James Miller. So apparently, he had suffered a heart attack and died in his bed after living there 10 years. And apparently he decided to stay, what have you. So his wife stayed and raised their children, and she later sold it, and it became a school again. So it's got quite a history there going on. Okay, next. This is the first Presbyterian church. Now remember, we were down looking at Emory United Methodist. This is the first Presbyterian church where the the parsons that stayed at the old manse that we stopped out down the hill came from this Presbyterian church. It's got an amazing steeple. And again, it's all about the rock. the granite. This, this neat little row right here used to be called Lawyers Row. This is where all the legal offices were, all the law offices. Um, and they continue here and here, okay? Because here is the courthouse. And this was once a very, very active courthouse, to say the least, well used. And these buildings, were all housing successful law firms. The convenience of being here, just amazing, absolutely amazing. But it closed. They closed the courthouse and moved the circuit court to a larger, of course, newer facility, always newer, larger and newer. So, anyway, this courthouse, this baby's been standing for a while, I have to say. I have to get up here and show you. But first, I just wanted to give you another sample of the crazy things on this hill. And here's different ways to get down to the bottom. And this is actually, these stairs are actually a huge drainage field to divert the water from flooding out in the lower neighborhoods before it gets to the river. Okay, so let me go up here to the courthouse. Okay. This brings back memories. I used to work here those years ago when my friend and I were packing our lunch and sitting on those columns. Not too much different than these, really. Hey, Judy, how's it going? Carol Sue, like deprivation. Oh my goodness. Hey, how you guys doing? Ugh. Okay, so I'm sitting on the front lawn of this beautiful granite haunted courthouse. This courthouse opened in the spring of 1843. It took 2 years to build, and it's been in existence. It's been in continuous use up until last year, and it wasn't. There is a cannon sitting in front there that was taken from the War of 1812 during the Battle of Bladensburg, which is not too very far from here. Let's see, they've, something really important. This was an important stop on the Underground Railroad. Okay, remember, Maryland had been captured by the Union Army and secured, and but not everybody was happy about it. That's why they rushed right in. Anyway, so um, they started running in. They started becoming a part of this, like 1843 is showing you the picture there of it at that time. But the Underground Railroad was alive and well here. This was an important stop. And also because of the railroad itself having a stop here. Oh my goodness, to smuggle people in and out of the trains, which was crazy. The train was loaded with Union soldiers. As a matter of fact, the Patapsco Guard was stationed here in Ellicott City and actually at the bottom of Main Street in the old town hall building. Oh my goodness, they used to keep Confederate prisoners up on the top floor there. Anyway, so this was an important step. Now, those who unfortunately were captured, okay, they would be brought here. Okay, if the slave catchers got, captured any slaves, they would bring them here to the courthouse, and a judge would decide whether or not the person should be allowed to go or be returned to their master. So if they were to be returned to their master, then they would lock them up in the jail, Willow Grove, the one we saw earlier, and they would keep them until their master showed up for them, or maybe until they escaped if they could. And I guess that's not too beyond the realm of possibilities. Yeah. So also the slave catchers um, were the beginning of the police force. They were the first policemen, okay? The slave catchers. This is the top of the house I was telling you about that we looked at right before the church. It has all the stone and that lacy ironwork on front. Well, here's the back. Here's the back of it. It looks totally, totally different. This is the Children's Museum. How neat, right? Life and culture of the 19th century mill town. Okay, and now here is another very cool house. I have to laugh. This was also a school at some point. These things have been everything. But this house, this building was built into the courthouse. It was built into the courthouse. Okay, now see up front, that is the original courthouse. That's all there was. That was it. Then here comes an addition, right? And then I don't know why they incorporated this house, but they did. And they made it for courthouse offices too. Pearl and Probation used to have offices in there, and I think maybe public defender too. Not sure. And see, and here's another set of additions. It's crazy. Look at this tree. Wow. This little area here, little overlook to down below. But back to this little house here. Okay, this is the Hayden House. It used to be Oak Lawn Seminary. But first it was built as a house, as a home for Edwin Hayden and his wife Elizabeth. They had 7 children and a servant. And upon his death in 1850, his wife converted the house into a boarding finishing school called Oak Lawn Seminary for Girls. And it ran successfully until it was sold in 1871. After that, it changed hands with a couple different owners, and then finally the county purchased this building in 1937, and made it available for different agencies associated with the district court. And then let's see. Oh, back in 1970, when parole and probation moved in, okay, they started experiencing like strange occurrences, um, like phantom footfalls, ghostly laughter, a chair rolling across the floor, doorknobs turning, lights flickering, all the things that go bump in the night, but not just at night. One staffer arrived here before the rest of her colleagues and glimpsed a shadowy figure of a man floating down the stairs. Yet, when she approached, there was no one there. Of course not. And a district court commissioner one night watched three napkins set out for a dinner the next day unfold, unfold, and then refold right before his eyes, he said. And others have seen, white, hazy figures that go poof after a minute or so. There's one ghost that was discovered by a security guard. He was looking in the windows of the house, and it was evening, and he he thought it was a woman in the ground floor windows. He believed she was cooking, but there hadn't been a kitchen in this house since 1937 when Harris County bought it and converted it to offices. So, who's cooking? The only explanation uh, has been um, um, as to who the cooking ghost of Oak Lawn is, and they're naming the servant, the Hayden family's loyal servant, Jane, preparing the morning meal. They say the smells that have come drifting out of this building uh, reminded one of homemade soup, hot coffee, sizzling bacon, frying eggs, and apple cobbler. And to be honest, there were numerous times as I walked past this building that I got a whiff of something good. And I will note there aren't any restaurants in the near vicinity. It is all about the houses right here at this end. So, okay. And on up we go. Oh, did I mention I got married at this courthouse? Right on the front lawn where we were sitting earlier. I got married to my first husband at this courthouse. So we're coming up on the back end now of this massive courthouse. They added and added and added all those years, and then they just left it. They just left it with all its history. My goodness. Yeah, look, they relocated them on July 6th of last year, though. Huh. They made them a new home. I don't know. I kind of like their old home. Maybe they don't like history. Hmm. Okay, so look, here's where we were. We walked up that street, and that's how we saw the front of the jail. So here is the old jail, the old Willow Grove jail, and it was still hanging people in 1900. Not good. Scary, right? It's doesn't look like a great place either, does it? It looks definitely foreboding. And see in that stone part where on the upstairs, that's where they put the prisoners that were condemned to die. I don't know if keeping them in the dark was to keep them subdued. I don't know. I don't know. Here is the Um, Here's where the hangings used to be. Down here along the side. Of course, they had trees, big trees over here back then. But yeah, it used to take place here in the backyard, basically, backyard of the jail. Something else significant of significance is down here as well. Okay. The this part of the building back here, where the porch is, where the steps are. Okay. Oh, you maybe see it better from here. Wait a minute. Let me get to the. Oh, see here. The jail was had additions. Boy, everything had additions. Okay, so that part with the porch was the original jail. Okay. Um, this was the place. This was the location where freedom seekers and those charged with encouraging enslaved persons to run away or rise up against their masters or similar charges during the age of enslavement were held from January 1852 through the end of slavery in Maryland on November 1st, 1864. So, well, interesting. And I want to show you where the slaves were kept, and it's down on that lower, whoops, that lower level down there. I bet that was nasty. I'm thinking of that granite. Again, that building sure is made out of it, and everything is amazing. So where is all the granite now, I wonder? There's some big boulders over there. I probably just answered my own question. And why is my gimbal going wacky here? Okay. Yeah, it's creepy, all right. Yeah. I can't believe that they were still hanging people in 1900. It seems barbaric. I didn't realize we were like that. You know, that's craziness. Okay, one last stop, my dears. And it'll be on a more pleasant note. I don't want to leave you with horrible images. And there's the front of the jail that we saw from down below. Okay, so now we are coming up on this really cool mansion that I've been in before. Oh, come on, Gimbal. What's up here? Okay, upward. No, I walk up on this side. Well, I guess I can. This property is outstanding as well. It it's the highest, second highest on the hill. The school being the highest. Just take a look. This is Mount Ida. Now, yeah, she's the back of her house. It's overlooking the river. Let me get you over here to the front. They the reason for this equipment you're looking at, from what I understand, they've um they've been making improvements and converted the mansion to a B&B. Now it hasn't opened as one yet, but I understand that time is not too far in the future. That could be really funny too, I'll tell you why in a minute. Here you go. Nice view of Mount Ida. It's got the catwalk up there. on the roof. Oh my goodness, it is supposed to be the most incredible view. I can I can well believe it too. Yeah, it's supposed to be the most incredible. Okay, let's whoops, sorry. Oop, tree. All right. Oh yeah, here we go. This is good. I'm sitting down and taking the load off and hope I'm not sitting on an ant hill. God help me. Okay. Phew. Now you can see some beautiful place. Look at the colors turning too. Okay, so Mount Ida sits high on the hill overlooking the Patapsco River. Can you see between two? Ooh, there's somebody going in there. Overlooking the Patapsco River. It was built in 1828 for the grandson of one of the original Ellicott brothers, the founding fathers. So this was the last of the homes built for the Ellicotts. Last in, last in a few. So the grandson, whom it was built for, died at home in the mansion in 1836. So after that, his wife sold it to an attorney and his wife. The 1860 census shows the Tyson family ruled the mansion. Judge Tyson, his wife, her mother, their three daughters, Cornelia, Anna, and Ida, their son John, and their seamstress. They had a whole thing going on here. The judge died shortly after, and followed by his wife and their son John. The remaining girls, the remaining children, the three daughters, were unmarried, and all of them lived out their years in the mansion. Cornelia passed away in the mansion, as did Anna. Now, Ida was the last one to live there, and she was there for a bit by herself. She was the sweetest lady. She would invite the children in and take them up to the catwalk so they can see goings on down below and on the river and such. And, she kept the house really well. But as she got senile, she started getting afraid and she became fixated on the thought she was afraid that someone would break into the house. So she carried a ring of keys with her. And every time she entered a room, she would unlock the door and then lock it behind her. She'd unlock the door, relock it behind her. Right? So uh, um, eventually, this was used for offices. I know that. I was here when this was an office. It was an organization called the Friends of the Patapsco Female Institute, of which I was a member. So I remember when it was offices, right? So some of the people working there had reported hearing keys jingling, right? And then they look up in time to see her disappear through a door. Holy crap. There's people. Okay, shoo. I'm looking at the house, right? And the curtains are moving upstairs. I was like, wait a minute. I think it was a kid, though. And I see people moving in that wing on the right end there. Oh, my goodness. Maybe you must do a double take there. Shoot. Anywho, so they would hear the keys and look just in time to see her disappearing through a closed door. Her apparition's also been spotted up top on the Widow's Walk, I've heard. So I'm not quite sure. I haven't seen that myself, but anyway. today, now, it's been sold as a B&B. That means that it will rent rooms, sleeping rooms, to strangers who will more than likely be scared out of their beds when they hear keys jingling and see people disappearing through doors. How crazy is that? See, now that was on a better note, right? Right. Absolutely. Okay. Well, I let me turn this around so I can see. That concludes our Mount Misery tour. Um, Later this week, I believe it's Thursday evening, even, I am, camera, hold on. I am going to try a new tour here in Ellicott City. Um, nope, that didn't do it. Okay, there we go. What? There I am. Okay. Okay. So, anyway, I love Ellicott City. I love everything Ellicott City. There are a lot of local people here who have written books about Ellicott City. Lots of ghost stories and history things as well, and silly stuff too. Well, I found a book written by a local man who lives in Catonsville, which is near here, and illustrated by his buddy, also a local artist. The book is called The Zombie Snowmen, The Legend of the Zombie Snowmen of Ellicott City. The Zombie Snowmen of Ellicott City. Yeah, actually, they wrote two books. Yeah. So I have them and I have their stories. And so Thursday, in celebration of it getting close to Halloween, I am going to um, go and do that. I'm taking his the book with me, and like this, we have different stops where we tell stories. Well, their book is set up like that too. They have different stories for different locations. So I'm going to play it like a real tour, except it's going to be totally nonsense and silly and fun and hopefully not scary. Anywho, so that is my plan for Thursday. Oh, I have some great Halloween things coming up too, actually. I have on Monday, a week from today, Monday is going to be a cornfield maze. A cornfield maze. I'm going to do a live stream from a cornfield maze, and you can tell me what to go. Uh, right, left, straight, which way. So you guys can guide me. I think I did that last year, and it was really fun, really fun. And one more tour the next day. I haven't scheduled this yet. Still thinking a little bit. Um, Near here, of course, Ellicott City, Howard County, the Tapsco River, there is an abandoned town called Daniels, and it's an abandoned town deep in the woods near the river where the mill once stood. And it's just the town, once the mill closed, the town just eventually, people just left one by one until they were all gone. So supposedly it's haunted. We will go find out. I've never been there before. So that'll be a nice Halloween first. Yep. Yep. I'll say. Okay. Well, I guess I should say talk. Boy, this was pretty good. It's almost 90 minutes. That's great. There's so much material. That's why this was the third of my haunted Ellicott City tours. There's too much. I'd pass out from walking and dehydration for hours. So, um, yeah, the maze is fun for sure. Um, well, Judy, Sarah, Bye to Ronnie. Hi to everybody that's watching this later. I hope you enjoy it. And don't forget, if you can, we are tip supported. So if you buy me a coffee, um, that'll just take me to more places. What can I say? Thank you guys. Take care. Bye.